Hi everyone, ladies and gents. How's everyone doing today? My name is Vinny. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day today. So, this is going to be a good one. And my intention with this video is to spread awareness on this as much as I can, because I don't think a lot of people actually are aware of some of the things that I'm going to talk about that pertains to AI. And you could call it the dark side of AI that nobody talks about. Really, you don't hear a lot of people talking about this. There are some people out there that are talking about these things, but not as much as you would think. And I think this should be widespread as much as possible. First of all, you have all these data centers being built in some places, and they're trying to build more of them. And the problem with this stuff is that these data centers, they consume an insane amount of natural resources, specifically water and power, electricity. Now, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but and I'm going to be brief about this one. Just do your own research, right? Like I've always said, don't take my word for granted. Don't believe everything that I'm saying. Go do your own research. Use your brain. Use your thought capacity and your ability to be able to question things and think for yourself. That's the most important thing. Our power grid currently, as it stands, it's already stressed out to its limit. It's running on fumes. So the problem is that they keep, adding more stress to the grid by building more of these data centers. And we just don't produce enough electricity to be able to maintain and sustain this need that is necessary to keep running these things. So what's going to happen in a very near future is if something doesn't change and they don't figure an alternative or something, I don't know, we're going to end up running into issues like loss of power in places, either on purpose, or the grid is just going to give it up. And this is all I'm going to talk about when it comes down to the grid. Now let's talk about Gen Z a little bit and how, this research came out that they were the first, since all the prior generations, that it's been proven by research that they are dumber than the prior generations. And I'm sorry if you're Gen Z. And listen, this doesn't apply to every single person that's part of a generation, but this is a generalization, so to speak, in terms of the data and the information that came back. And the conclusion that they got that caused this to happen was that was the first generation that was introduced to high usage of technology in the classrooms. Lots of usage of computers, tablets, all this stuff that the generations prior were not using it at all. So it's been proven that when you engage with technology in that manner, specifically in schools and classrooms and things like that, universities, it degrades your brain capacity. So what seems to be really important too is that using pen and paper, writing things down, actually physically writing things down, it does something to your brain. It connects something, and it keeps your brain engaged with certain aspects of your brain capacity that allow for the development of a lot of important things that are necessary for a person to keep their thought process not only intact but also develop it on top of that. And once again, guys, go do your own research. Okay, this is very, very serious. And then you have AI taking its liberties now of changing things without being told to change things. When people, there's this short that's really cool that I saw the other day of this older guy. He did this experiment and he used this older photo that he had, and he had 3 different AIs do the color the photo for him, and then he noticed all these discrepancies in each different AI changing some things on the background of the photo, either removing things or adding things without ever being asked to do that. And that's a problem. Why is the AI taking the liberties of changing things when all it was asked to do was to just colorize the photo? So do you see the issue? And here's the thing though, AI is not sentient. I talked about this before. Go do your own research. It's just a language learning model. That's all it is. All it does is it scours the internet for data and information. When you ask it a question, it can do that faster than anybody can because it has access to everything, right? But that doesn't mean that the answer that it comes up with is the right one or the most accurate one. AI does not have discernment. So the more people rely on using AI to answer questions or to do any type of relevant research, don't rely on these things for accuracy, truthfulness, and real information. That's all I'm going to say. Take that as you will. You want to keep doing these things, that's fine. Do what you want to do. You want to keep using these tools, that's fine. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you have to understand that these tools have limits. They're extremely flawed in their own design, and that's not going to change anytime soon. And none of us is ever going to live to see sentient, capable of thinking for itself AI. That's never going to happen. Chances are it never will. That's a pipe dream. That's science fiction. It's not reality. But there's a problem when these models and these softwares are, taking liberties to change things when they're not asked to do that. They're asked to do something else. That's the problem right there. You guys have to realize. So when you have these generations now from Gen Z going forward, becoming dumbed down, so to speak, because, they're not using some of these things that we're supposed to use to keep our brains engaged and develop properly. This is a serious issue, and it is causing what is called mental atrophy. You literally have kids now in school asking teachers, why are you teaching you these things if we can ask AI anything and they'll have the answer right away? Do you see the problem here? It's insane. It's actually insane. And the problem is, like I said, there's no regulations, nothing being done, at least so far that I can see on a wide scale that is going to minimize the type of damage that this is going to do overall across the board all over the world, because more and more people were not being encouraged to use their own thought process anymore, and they're actually not only encouraging themselves and being encouraged by all these external things that are available to us now to just use these things because it's the easy way out. It's the quick answer, right? The quick fix. When in reality, these things are doing a lot more harm than good when it comes down to keeping our brains fully engaged, working optimally and properly. So there's going to be a lot of repercussions coming down the road, another generation or two from now, that I don't think this is good at all. But that's how I see it, right? That's my opinion. But there are facts here that are undeniable. So like I said, do your own research, guys. And I think this whole thing with AI, it's doing so much harm. And if we were using these things properly, like I said, and then setting boundaries so it doesn't take liberties to change things and stuff like that, because that shouldn't be happening at all to begin with, it probably would be much better that way if we establish boundaries and do not allow it to do certain things just because, it shouldn't be a thing. And then, our kids should be encouraged to keep writing. And I encourage everyone, especially if you're doing this work of, working on yourself, improving yourself, healing trauma, all kinds of stuff like that related to things that I talk about on this channel. Journaling and all these things, this is extremely good for you and for your brain. So do that kind of stuff on a daily basis. Stay engaged with yourself and your mental capacity. Because the minute we stop using these things, that mental atrophy comes in and settles. And then it only goes downhill from there, guys. And this is really all I wanted to talk about today. This is the dark side of AI that not a whole lot of people are talking about. And it's time we begin to wake up and see the flaws and the issues with all of these things that we created to make our lives better, that in a lot of ways are making our lives worse and affecting the people who are being born right now and decreasing their capacity to fully develop their brains, their thought process, and all of that stuff. That's serious business right there, guys. And then you have the environment, impacts as well, and the whole thing with the power grid not being developed to handle all the stress that's being put on. So there's a lot of stuff going on. And I'm going to leave it at that. So if you like the content, don't forget to click the like button, share, subscribe. It helps the channel grow and reach more people. And with that said, be well, stay safe, and I will catch you all on the next one. Until next time, my friends.